This section is about the current REF open access policy. The Research Excellence Framework, or REF, is the system used by the higher education funding bodies to assess the quality of research in UK universities. How well a university does in an assessment determines how much money the university receives for future research. REF has an open access policy because higher education funders use public money to fund research, and they believe that these research outputs should in turn be publicly available. They recognise the benefits to research outputs being open, such as increased access to knowledge, transparency, and efficiently converting research into practice and innovation. Open access was on the agenda for years, but uptake was slow, so the funders decided to embed openness as business as usual in research. A requirement for research outputs to be open access was introduced for REF 2021, and Research England, one of the higher education bodies, have confirmed that the open access policy used for REF 2021 should be followed until further notice. The REF open access policy provides clear minimum requirements for open access. To be eligible for the REF, in-scope articles need to comply with the REF open access policy. The REF open access policy applies to articles or full-length conference papers accepted for publication in a journal or conference proceeding with an ISSN. The current REF period starts for articles published from the 1st of January 2021. The REF open access policy has deposit, access and discovery requirements for these in-scope articles. We will look at what this means. Deposit. An article must be deposited in a non-commercial open access repository, such as Apollo, the university's institutional repository. At a minimum, the author's accepted manuscript must be deposited within 3 months of acceptance. The author's accepted manuscript is the version when the publisher accepts it for publication, and the corresponding author receives notification of this. The manuscript contains all the changes made after peer review, but has not been typeset or copy edited by the journal or publisher in any way. Typically, this can be the last point that the author owns the copyright, and this is the reason this version is shared in a repository. Access. Some publishers require an embargo to be placed on the deposited file, which means that the file in the repository is locked and unavailable to users for a period of time. The REF open access policy defines a maximum embargo length of 12 months from publication for science, technology, engineering and maths subjects, and 24 months from publication for humanities, arts and social science subjects. Discovery. The deposited file will have accompanying information that describes the file, also known as metadata. The article in the repository will have a range of metadata and will include details such as file version, article title, journal title, author names, as well as a link to the published article. Metadata allows a user to find or discover a resource. When a researcher has a journal or conference article accepted, they or an administrator on their behalf need to upload the file to the university's open access service as soon as possible after acceptance and no later than 3 months after this date. The file version that should be uploaded is the author's accepted manuscript. The upload should take place via the university's Research Information System, Symplectic Elements. They may need to provide a minimum set of details about the article, such as article title, journal title, and should endeavour to include the date of acceptance, as this date is used to calculate compliance with the REF Open Access policy. Once a file has been uploaded to Elements, the deposit into Apollo, file embargoes and metadata updates are handled through the Open Access service. The researcher or administrator will be notified by email when the file is in Apollo and will be provided with a link. They can contact the Open Access service if anything needs to be changed. If an article is in scope of the current REF Open Access policy, but has not been deposited in Apollo, or was deposited in Apollo after 3 months from acceptance, it is still possible that the article can be eligible for a REF submission. For example, articles published through the Gold Open Access route from the time of first publication meet the requirement of the current REF Open Access policy. Articles deposited in another repository in compliance with the REF Open Access policy may also be REF eligible. There are also a number of exceptions to the policy, such as the ones illustrated on the slide here. It is recommended that these routes are not relied upon. Checks will need to be done and evidence sought to determine whether an article was published Gold Open Access, has been deposited compliantly in another repository, or whether an exception to the policy applies. The university's Open Access website has further details about these special conditions and exceptions. If a researcher believes any of these conditions or exceptions apply to their publication, they can contact the Open Access Service for investigation. If eligible, the team are able to apply exceptions and record details in Elements. A researcher can check their article's compliance with the REF Open Access policy by downloading a report from the Elements Reporting Hub. Similarly, department or group administrators can access REF Open Access reports for their departments or groups' research outputs.